Balance tasks where the body's center of pressure must be voluntarily moved under accuracy constraints represent functional balance tests characterized by components of static as well as dynamic balance. Curve tracking tests represent one group of such tests, which enable the evaluation of active control over body equilibrium. The curve tracking motor task requires active shifts of the COG above the base of support in one plane, forward-backward or left-right, where the dynamics of this shift are defined by a generated curve fed back to the subject. It is a complex task that requires active sensory motor and cognitive control. Before entering the curve tracking test module, make sure that the weights and limits of stability for the measured subjects have been acquired. Enter the curve tracking test from the main window by clicking on the Curve Tracking button. As with the organization of all the MARS test modules, the interface is divided into a left setup panel, a right analysis panel, a bottom measurement panel, and the central signals and results area. Before entering the left setup panel, make sure the subject is oriented correctly according to the force plate position. If not, correct the force plate orientation in the right analysis panel. Afterwards, the appropriate input parameters must be determined in the setup panel. These are stance position, where you can choose among parallel stance, semi-tandem stance, tandem stance, single leg stance on the left leg, or single leg stance on the right leg. Then determine the length of the task in seconds under the Duration drop-down menu. For dual tasks during measurement, you can choose among without an additional task, an additional mental task,
297, 294, 291, 288, 285.
or an additional motor task. Under the Direction drop-down menu, the orientation of movement is set. You can choose between mediolateral or anterior-posterior direction of center of pressure movement. The shape of the tracking curve can be set under the Shape drop-down menu, where you can choose among sinus, triangle, square, ramp, or random curve. Random curves can also be constructed under the Settings section, for which please refer to tutorial number 3. The position of the upper extremities can be defined by hands positioned on the hips, hands free, hands across the chest, or hands behind the neck. To define the footwear, you can choose among barefoot, running shoes, walking shoes, or high heels. To start with the measurement, click on New Measurement. After launching the test module and clicking the New Measurement button, initialization and offset takes place. At that time, the subject should not be on the force plate. If necessary, the measuring mode can be cancelled by pressing the Cancel button. Before starting with the measurements, the subject must assume an appropriate initial position, which is determined by the input parameter. The subject's focus should be directed towards the computer screen. The goal of the task is to move the center of pressure as accurately as possible over the selected curve. Initiate the measurement by pressing Start. If the subject loses balance or changes a previously defined posture, the measurement needs to be repeated. The measurement stops automatically after the determined period. It can also be stopped manually by pressing the Stop button in the lower panel. The measurement can be repeated by clicking on New Measurement and not saving the previous repetition. If you are satisfied with the measurement, you can save it. The central window displays the center of pressure measured by the force plate. If the settings for analysis were changed after the measurement was completed, you can reanalyze the data by clicking on Analyze. The ground reaction force signal can be viewed under the Signals tab. Data from the analysis can be viewed under the Results Table tab. A more thorough description of the parameters can be accessed by right-clicking on the parameter name. Options for displaying specific sets of parameters can be accessed in the Parameters View menu in the right panel. For more information on that topic, please refer to tutorial number 7.